Halftime here at Adams Field. It's all Grand Valley State so far. They lead Wayne State 31-0. Welcome back to halftime, everybody. I'm Tony Ortiz, and I'm joined by the longtime athletic director for Wayne State University, Rob Fournier. Rob, thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening.
Glad to be with you, Tony, and you only have to mention the score one time now.
That's the only time I'm going to mention it. Hey, Rob, let me ask you this. Paul Winters has been head coach for 14 years. Gary Bryce has led the softball program for more than 30 years. David Greer has been the men's basketball coach for the last 16 years. How important is it as athletic director to have that kind of continuity year in and year out with your coaches?
Well, I think if you're going to be successful, you create a culture in a department, and you can't do that when you're changing coaches all the time. And
right.
The coaches learn that culture. They learn what the expectation is. And, they're the people that communicate that to the student athletes, and that builds the whole program. So, the fact that those people have been with us so long, Ryan Kelly, the baseball coach,
yep.
Carrie Lohr, when you look around the coaching staff, you can see that they've made a commitment, not only to the institution, but their student athletes, and that's important.
Yeah, you look around coaching in all of college, Division I to Division II, whatever. You see coaches 3-5 years changing, but here there's just that stability, and that's, I think, great to see when you're talking about these programs.
Well, I think part of that, that goes two ways.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches look for stability from their administration, and the administration, they have to give them a sense of confidence that they're doing the right thing. Sometimes a coach never needs a friend when they're having a great year. They're the smartest people in the world. But when things aren't going good, that's when they need you. And I always tell the story about Paul Winters, his first year here. We were 1-9, and we were absolutely horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And we started out the next year 0-5. So people were grumbling. They were thinking, not that we had a great success here. But I had gone to the president at that time, and I said, hey, I want to give all the football coaches bonuses. And he looked at me, and he's like, are you crazy? He says, we've won one game in 2 years. I says, we're going in the right direction. They know what to do. We're going to get this thing done. So he relented, and we got checks, and I got to give credit to Coach Winters because he played into it. So what he did was, I told him, I says, I got your coaches all bonuses. And I says, but, let's have some fun with it. So what he did was, it was on a Tuesday afternoon. He tells his coaches the athletic director wants to see it. He brings them in the office, and I've got these pieces of paper in my hand, and they're all thinking, this is going to be it. He's going to give us our walkie papers. And I said, I know you're doing the right thing. I know we're going to get this turned around. I know we're going to be successful here. And just to show the confidence we have in you, I have all bonuses for you. And I mean, the place went crazy. And we went 3-2 after that.
Mm-hmm.
Joik Bell came in the next year, and we were on our way.
The rest is history. Hey, listen, was here for the dedication of Harwell Field earlier this year. There's always something going on with the sports department, with the athletic department. What's new on the docket, Rob?
Well, I think the weight room being built off the end of the Mathi is going to be huge for the success of all our teams. 11,500 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a cramped quarter now, and if you're going to be successful in athletics, I mean, you're going to need that kind of training and conditioning. We've got a great strength and conditioning staff. We have 3 full-time strength and conditioning coaches. I mean, that's Division II.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to Division I, and they don't have that many people running around unless you're maybe in Ann Arbor or that other school in East Lansing. But you got to give the people the resources in order to make them successful. And this weight room will do just that.
Since you've taken over here in 2000, what's the biggest change that you've seen in college athletics?
The biggest change I've seen here is culture,
Mm-hmm.
that we can be successful. I think the biggest change in college athletics is really there's a disparity between Division I and Division II. And I'm not saying that as a criticism, but Division I is really driven by money in everything. Conference alignment, TV contracts, beer sales at games. I mean, it just keeps going. It's insatiable. And Division II, a little more grounded.
Right.
And I think maybe their priorities are just, I'll say, different.
It's more the student part of student athlete in Division II as opposed to in Division I. It's more athlete and student athlete. Is that fair to say?
I think, I don't want to be critical of my brethren, but there's a lot of people watching a football game nearby here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Not as many at this location, but our graduation rate is 74%. Our overall GPA of all our student athletes, 3.21. We've now, in the past 6 years, done over 60,000 community service hours. Now, I don't say that as a sense of braggadocio,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the kind of things that we emphasize. And we think when that student athlete leaves here, they're ready for the bigger game, and that's the challenges of life.
Final question for me. You talked about those 60,000 hours of community service that your student athletes have done over the last 6 years. How important is a figure like that for you? There's many figures we can talk about, but how important is that for you personally, that you have your athletes out there in the community helping in the resurgence of the city of Detroit?
Well, I think, Tony, that goes back to the culture piece. You know, we weren't like that 17 years ago when I started here. It was just something we built. And now the kids have embraced it. We don't have to tell kids to do community service. They actually are advocates for it. And it helps that student athlete, I think, appreciate a little bit more what they have. You know, you can get pampered as an athlete. I mean, there can be an expectation, especially on certain levels. I like our kids to appreciate what they have, maybe compared to some other people that don't even get the opportunity to do what they're doing.
Right.
You know, that's an appreciation that kids carry with them the rest of their life. And you see that, you know, they give back here, but that doesn't stop when they leave here. You know, that they embrace that, and you see that when they have families and their own kids and the kind of way they carry themselves in society.
Rob, I lied. One last question. And Rod and Joe asked me to ask you this because they have been chewing my ear off about this the entire day. Elevator. Is there a chance that there will actually be an elevator so those guys don't have to walk up 73 steps?
I thought you meant if I could move their careers up higher. I think they're already at the top. I mean, especially Joe. I don't know about Rod, but
listen, don't say that because their heads are already big enough they won't be able to get them through the door for the second half. Rob Fournier, go ahead.
Well, we're going to get them up there, but Tony, it may be you and me carrying them. But we're going to need some help with Rod. He's putting on a little weight at that pregame meal.
No, I'm not going to be able to carry him that way. Hey, Rob Fournier enjoyed this. Thank you very much. Rob Fournier is the longtime athletic director here at Wayne State. We'll have more coming up from Adams Field. We're at halftime. Sorry, Rob, you're going to have to cover your ears for this one. Grand Valley leads Wayne State 31-0. Second half kickoff with Rod and Joe coming up next. Keep it tuned right here. We'll be right back.